I feel that people should not be allowed to challenge the book under the First Amendment.
Why?
Well, because the First Amendment is having the freedom of speech. So I don't feel that we should be able to challenge freedom of speech. Because why would we have the freedom of speech in the first place?
Even though that's a valid point, I feel that the First Amendment is like freedom of speech, so people should be able to say that
What they want.
what they want,
Yeah.
or what they.
They should be able to make their own decisions, and they could stand for what they want.
And if
what
they
they
want
think.
the book challenged, then
Then
maybe
they
they
can
should
do
build it.
And they find all the people they can that can all agree, and then they all work together to do what they think is right. I wondered about that too, but honestly, even though it's freedom of speech, challenging a book, if it's successful, it means that nobody can read it. So it's giving that one person, one or two people freedom, but it's also making many, many, many other people not have the freedom to read. I agree with that.
I agree with
I was gonna
it. Kind of go both ways.
Yeah, it really depends on what people think themselves. If people don't want to read a book, then don't read it. Just
Yeah.
leave it alone and let other people be able to read what they want. Like if you disagree with like a book's meaning or something, you could say, I disagree with the meaning, but would you seriously want to go all out and make it so nobody can read it ever? That's a little overkill.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Fernanda?
Because there's some books that have like bad influence for students and kids, but like they should be like adults and like parents should be able to read what they.
I feel that parents should be able to tell their kids what they should read, kind of like movies that they should watch and stuff. So I feel that parents should be able to kind of
Their children.
have their children not read some books and be able to read some others until they're old enough.
I agree with that completely. Okay. So,
What do you think, Eleanor?
Well, as an author, I think that people should choose to read what they want, and if they don't like the book, send a letter to the author and see what they think about it before they challenge the book.
like maybe like ask what the real meaning of the book is and why
Kind of their point.
why the author put that in there, like at the point that you don't like.
I agree with you, but the only thing is, if people are sending you letters, then that means like people from all over the world are sending you letters. You're not gonna have enough time to read every single one of them. It needs to be like maybe a group of people, sort of just do one giant letter instead of like millions of letters coming in day after day.
Yeah, like maybe a state letter.
Yeah.
Like from everything.
And then
What do you think about that, Lisa?
I agree with what you're saying, but not letters.
maybe like
What evidence supports your opinion?
Like, if you don't want to read my books, then don't read them.
as a teacher, I believe that students should be able to read what they want, but if their parents don't want them to read it, then they need to write a certain letter saying that they can't read this book and they can read something else that sort of has to go with the subject, but doesn't entirely include all the violence and inappropriateness that's going on in the book, just like a more younger sort of.
I agree with that because eventually the kids are going to learn what that, like
Stuff
the
is.
sex and racism is. And so they're gonna have to read about it eventually, so sometimes it's good just to get it over with.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that
Maybe the
completely.
books can be for a different targeted age group, because they're usually for like younger students and kids, which isn't really suitable for them, because there's a lot of like bad content
is gonna be taught that
Yeah,
way,
but
so
it's
they
like,
should be
it
able
can
to.
be like a later age when
Also,
they're
like,
more mature.
If you know that the book has like sex and violence and stuff like that, and if your teacher usually know that stuff,
So you should kind of like bleep
Yeah.
that out a little bit if they're too young.
Well,
yeah, like
so are you saying students aren't mature enough to handle these things?
Some are not.
it's not.
What about the
Yeah.
some that are?
They should be able to read it. I guess that's kind of
Their
their parents.
parents.
How can we know this stuff?
Even though that's a valid point, I feel that all people or students or whoever is supposed to read the book should be able to read it, because if they don't get to read it and some others do, it's not really fair for them because they aren't learning what they need to learn.
I agree with that, but also if they learn that influence, they will
They'll
like,
start
grow up.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're taught not to, because
Yeah.
if the teacher is whoever, like, for example, I was teaching my students how to not do these things. You have to make sure you're telling them not to do it instead of just letting them read it. You have to make it a valid point to not let them do it.
Yeah.
Because it can cause horrible things later on in their lives, like death or jail or other stuff. Like babies.
That got bad.
I worry, and I have to trust the teacher to make sure that, because it really, would a student listen to just one person, or would it be
Listen to-
even more
I think it's
enforced
kind of-
with two people or more?
I think the
Yeah.
teacher should make like the call of if it's appropriate,
Yeah.
like if
Like,
it's
it's really
appropriate
just
for the
teacher's
students.
call.
But if the teacher thinks one thing, like say the teacher thinks it's appropriate and that kid can handle it, but the parent doesn't want their kid reading it, they should talk to them.
It would really have to like go down to a meeting.
Yeah,
Discussion is
yeah,
see
conference.
Yeah.
Okay, move that.
But seriously, if you challenge a book, I mean, like, you're taking a big risk. Authors would know, if somebody challenges your book, it can really make it popular.
Yeah.
If it's the challenge is unsuccessful, which means the book that was small, that you didn't want many people to read, would then skyrocket in popularity to hit #1 on the top selling books. Which is good for you guys, but I mean, like, some parents don't like their children reading it, and some parents don't really care. So I can see their point, but yeah, it's just a big risk for challenging books, so it's not worth it.
Because authors, if they ban the book, if they get challenged by a book they wrote, they'll probably get popular from the book because it's a lot of like drama, and then if it doesn't get banned, more people will read it. So if parents want to ban their books, they should just not like do anything about it, because just say that they can't read it to kids.
And anyways, the authors are most likely making the book about that subject or whatever it's talking about that it's getting banned for a reason, to teach the children about it, or just
teach
like
anyone.
stuff. Yeah, teach anyone who hasn't necessarily learned yet. So. Me too.
Should we talk about the benefits of challenging?
Like, I've heard some parents actually, they made a list, like, on like a board or something that they hung up at their house, like books to not read or something, like books that they won't let their children read. So, and that could help instead of having to make it so the whole county or state or world can't read it anymore. Because some people enjoy reading about the bad part of the book that people want it banned for. Well, there are many people who actually find that book or part of the book interesting or enjoying. Some people actually find it funny.
Yeah, because, some people may have, like, dirty minds.
That's exactly true, though. Stay appropriate.
Also, some books get banned for like really bad reasons.
Like the book, like what they were trying to prove. The point that they were trying to prove is why they get banned most of the time.
But like 50 Shades of Grey, that was made for adults. So if
Yeah.
a kid
Yeah.
reads that,
And
that's the
a
parent's
kid
fault.
like tells their parent or somebody that's an adult, and then it all starts where everybody wants to ban it because children are starting to read it.
Yeah.
It should have an age limit in this store so people can't necessarily buy it if they're younger or impersonate them.
It's kind of like
That's-
on
Even
video
so,
games how it
students
goes
are
like
getting their hands on this.
E for everyone or 10 and
Yeah,
up,
and,
whatever.
Then yeah.
18 and older.
No,
It's
that's
like maybe
mature and
when
mature
they
17
buy
and
it,
up.
they should like have to show their ID.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah. It's kind of like
That's a
for
little.
like
Well,
18 or
It's
the
not
people like that have like the ID cards or whatever they're called, and they're like, yeah, got it. I mean, like, or like maybe just like to buy the book, it's like you have like a parent signature or something, like saying blah blah blah, like a contract. Like you get it, say I want to get this book. My parents said it was okay. You give them that.
Well,
But
you don't have to worry about
then
foreign
again, that
signatures.
then that's foreign. You don't need to worry about that. But also,
I think the parent should be with the kid as they buy that
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
That would be a lot
That's
simpler.
what I did.
Just
So let's talk about some benefits of the book getting banned.
it makes
Like,
books more popular.
Even though it's breaking freedom of speech, like there are some books out there that are bad. Like they're about
Like that penguin book. It shouldn't be for like 6-year-olds.
Yeah,
It
like,
should
I
be
mean,
for, like,
But I mean,
Make
it
it
should.
more-
It should.
they
If you
change
took out
it-
some lines,
like
and
sometimes
take
it's
them
just
back
because
to
it's a couple lines that makes the kids think, oh, what's
You
oh.
No, I want to keep
Yeah.
talking.
you have to face the fact
It
that
worries. It
homosexuality is
worries.